on Hope Channel.
Good evening, everybody, and you are welcome to the consulting room. Do you know that in some countries, especially America, doctors are now practicing more of defensive medicine? This leaves the duty of care on the patient, and it looks like we might be going there in our country very soon. We are going to have a very wonderful discussion today about the patient's charter. That's basically the rights and responsibilities of patients. Today I have here with me Dr. Emmanuel Boache and lawyer Anita Dankwa. They'll be helping us in the discussion today. I hope you are going to have a very interesting discussion today, and you are going to learn a lot and clarify some things. So you're welcome, Dr. Boache and lawyer Dankwa.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
You're welcome. So we'll go for our very first break, and when we come back, we'll dive right into the discussion.
Proclaim freedom at independence. But are we really free? Fuel prices keep soaring. Unemployment, hunger and deprivation abounds. Strange diseases plague us. But don't lose hope yet, because God has a plan for you. The Personal Ministries Department, in collaboration with the Women and the Young Ladies Ministries of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, bring to you Christ our Hope, from the 9th to the 16th of October 2021. The time is 5 a.m. and 7 p.m. each day. Join us live on Hope Channel Ghana and in all Seventh-day Adventist churches in Ghana as we present to you Christ our Hope. Speakers, Mrs. Christiana Ejenim Boateng and Mrs. Margaret A. Anti. Remember, the date is the 9th to the 16th of October 2021, and the time is 5 a.m. and 7 p.m. each night. Invite a friend, and God bless you.
You're welcome back to the consulting room. So today we have a story or a question from one of our viewers, and we are going to hear what he has to say. So he says, I was declared missing. At the time my whereabouts was unknown. I was also publicly known to have a medical condition. When I was eventually found, I was without the state I was known to be in at the time of my disappearance. This generated several twists and turns. Society had divided opinions concerning me. Some close allies were sympathizing with me, others were persecuting me. In the midst of all this, my health records are flying in the sky. I have lost my personality. State agencies have made my records public knowledge. However, not all institutions are sharing my details. This came as a shock to me when the director of the health facility I regularly attend refused to make public my health records and indicated on a national media house that they are in strict possession of my records. Dear consulting room, kindly provide some guidance for me. Do I, as a patient, have some protection under any state law? Am I entitled to certain privileges and rights as a patient? At the same time, assuming my health condition, which was known to those nearest me turned out to be false after all. Why should I suffer for this? Sincerely, Mansa Kakra Joanna. So today we have Madam Mansa, who is asking us if she has some rights or some privileges. Dr. Boache, please, what's the policy concerning rights and responsibilities for patients in our country?
All right, thank you for this question. First of all, every patient who comes to the hospital setting, they come with certain assumptions. They also come with certain misguided notions as well as they having the probability to be so suggestible, or what we used to call the God factor. They look at their healthcare givers as persons who are God or tin God in quotes.
Okay.
So all this influences how they receive care. And at times, based on some of these preconceived that made them come to the hospital for the first time, caregivers sometimes use those deficiencies to trample on their rights.
Okay.
But aside them being patients, first of all, they are human beings.
Yes.
And they are entitled to their rights as persons.
Okay.
That aside, also have rights that are enshrined per the patient's charter. So yes, they have rights as human beings, and they have rights when they step in the hospital. Well, doctors as well also have rights as well.
Hey, doctor, no. So you want to tell us that? So it's not just the patient that have rights?
No, even the oddlies in the hospital, the nurses, the lab technicians, everybody, they have their rights, and I think
so they have, do they have a right as human beings, or they have rights as healthcare providers too?
They have rights as healthcare providers, they have rights as human beings.
Okay, I'm sure as the discussion progresses, we would understand more of this.
Sure.
Miss Dankwa.
No worry. Any goes.
Okay. So you've been a patient.
Yes, I have.
Yes, and you are someone that is well versed in the knowledge of law and rights and all these technical languages that sometimes we don't even understand ourselves. What's your view on this? The rights of a patient and the responsibility.
Okay.
What do you have to say?
Okay. I think Doug wanted to go to his side, but generally the patient's charter, which governs health workers, stipulates some rights and responsibilities of a patient. Mm-hmm. And so generally, if I'm a patient and I go to a hospital, I'm supposed to be assured of privacy. When I enter and I'm talking to the doctor, all things being equal, no other patient should enter. If anyone should enter, it should be a medical person who has also sworn that oath of privacy. So I enter your office, I sit down, everything I'm telling you is in straight confidence. Okay. When that is done and my privacy is assured, sometimes you go to the hospital and they'll tell you take off your clothes and you lie down. Then you lie down, all of a sudden you see people coming in and going out and you are practically naked. And that is a no-no. So that is privacy. I'm entitled to my privacy as a person. And the confidentiality, every information you get, you obtain from me, you do not give it to a third party unless it's with my consent. Of course, the only exception being if there's really an emergency or the court demands of it. And I'm entitled to be part of a research, but all things being equal, with that research, I can opt out anytime I want to opt out. So there are so many rights and responsibilities, and when you go to the part of responsibilities, most, as Doc said, most patients go to the doctor and they have this blind trust for the doctor. So they don't ask any questions. It's your responsibility as a patient to know what is wrong with you. Ask questions. Ensure that the medicine they're giving you will indeed heal you. So the more you ask questions and the more you respect the other patients in the ward, you respect the medical professionals around, those are some of the responsibilities that comes with you being a patient. So yes, Doc said the health workers have some rights. Yes. Yes. Yes, because unfortunately for them, let me put it like that, it's their domain. And so they are like gods in their castle. So a visitor coming in, all things being equal, unless 1, 2, or 3 usually we trust you so much, we respect you so much that anything you tell us we'll do. And that is where the blind trust comes in. And that's where the issue comes in. Okay.
So we all know that in Ghana, there are just about 8,000 doctors for a population of about 30 million Ghanaians. And if you do the math, that's one doctor for about, for so many people. Yeah. And unfortunately, even with the ratio, most of these doctors are concentrated in certain parts of Ghana, especially the south. So even in the south, in some hospitals, doctors are not allowed, may not get access to one doctor having one consulting room. So you might have to share. Dr. Boakye, how does this affect your practice, and how does it affect the rights of the patient as well?
Well, these rights in themselves are not sacrosanct, okay? Yes, the patient, as soon as they enter, they have to be seen, their rights have to be respected. However, the doctor, just as she gave some caveat, there are situations where the doctor, with the consent of the patient, seek a second, a third opinion from colleagues. There are situations the doctor will give you a prior notice that your case is an interesting case. There are medical students around, and I want them to also come and have a feel of your condition. Let me give this example. It's quite funny. Okay. I had a patient not too long ago with ascites. His stomach was very distended.
What was causing the distension?
He had liver failure. Okay.
So there was water.
There was water in the stomach. Okay. So as soon as you tap the stomach, you hear a very sweet sound, like you are playing a drum. Okay. So there were medical students around. So after my investigation, I told him, please, we have students around, and I want them to also understand what we do. So I'll call them to your side, and if you grant them access, they will also they will also perform the same examination. So he consented. The first batch came. Then another batch came. Then a lone person came later on. So I told him, you may go and invest and have examined this patient. Yes. So he went. As soon as he began to, the patient said, "Oh, the boom." The boom. So you see, and we all laughed. And it seems like the medical student wasn't quite confident. They said, "Oh, boom." So you see, when you make them understand these issues, they become very receptive to whatever procedures you want to let them go through. So they have their right, but there are situations where, with their consent, a third party, a second party may be involved in. However, some of them, we have no way to trample on them, like confidentiality. Even in death, their records should be kept safe. It should only be within your head and then in the folders. Yes. And there are some cases where you can't trifle with these. For example, HIV cases. Yes. Unless even their partners give consent, you shouldn't even let them know that your partner is HIV positive. So our setting within the hospitals may have predisposed us to share tables and then desks with other colleagues. But when it comes to certain examinations, we have to make sure their privacy, their confidentiality is ensured. Okay.
Lawyer.
Yes.
Doc has explained some of your concerns from his viewpoint. Yes. What do you have to say about that?
I think I agree with him. I think we all agree that I have rights, but with my consent, you can go ahead and indulge and ensure that maybe my information goes out. So the caveat here is consent. If I agree that you can tell someone about my case, you can discuss with someone else about my case, then that one, the confidentiality, the privacy, I have forfeited it. I have given that. And most often than not, especially with HIV patients, it's to the person I have asked you to inform, no other person. So if you tell me you're going to let your students be aware, and I can see 4 students there, when the 4 students are done, it's done. No other student comes in. any other student that comes in, you need my consent again. So the consent isn't absolute, goes all the way. It goes to a particular, let's say, within that particular scope context I have given. Yes. Yes.
All right. One more that I want to add is there are instances where the state will mandate doctors or healthcare givers to enforce procedures or enforce processes on patients, whether they have this right or not. For example, someone who is not competent, and by this I mean persons below the age of responsibility. In Ghana, we say it's 18 years.
Yes.
So if you're not 18 years and you are refusing a procedure, the only thing that you can do is to go to the court, get a judge's, how do you call it?
A court order.
Court order, before we can stop a process. I remember I had a baby who had jaundice all over. And she came, they brought the baby at night. And it wasn't quite a pleasant sight, night duty with this jaundice thing. So I told the relatives, the mother and the father, your baby's jaundice, there are two ways to manage it. One is to put the baby under blue light. The second one is for me to draw the baby's blood and replace the blood with fresh whole blood. Yes. And these go hand in hand. Based on her condition, I have to first of all draw the blood and replace it, and then you continue the phototherapy. That is the blue light. They said, oh, me nana, according to the father, I said, me nana, ehun will be sa, John is be sa, or no sa ni yari into the could be coffee. I said no. So I called my boss. Boss, this is the issue. I said, but you don't mind them. Let them go to the court and get an order. So they get to the order. Go and do your exchange blood transfer. I said, yes, sir, boss. So within the next 3 to 4 hours, everything was done. After 3 days, the baby was fine, and they were discharged home. So when they are not at that age where they can make independent decisions on their own, the state mandates us to act in their best interest. Another group of persons who are not competent are mentally challenged patients. They too, the law mandates us to do, to the best of our knowledge, what is best for them. And those who are unconscious. Maybe for them, we may discuss their cases with relatives because there are some expenses they have to bear, especially if they have head injury, they have to go and do a CT scan. I have to let them know. Though the person is unconscious, I have to let them know. But these are cases, these are instances where we may let me use the word loosely, trample upon their rights and then do what is best fit for them. Other than these individuals, we have to always seek their consent and let them know, let them give us the approval first before we go in with them.
So we've talking a bit about the rights patients have. What do you think is your responsibility as a patient to the doctor and to your healthcare provider?
Okay, so I gave a few. I said all things being equal, you're supposed to respect them. You're supposed to show decorum towards them, and even with the other patients around, you're supposed to respect their privacy as well, respect them as well. And although it's not a direct right to the doctor, it's a responsibility on the part of the patient to ask questions.
Yes.
Should any information be given that you are not comfortable with, that you do not understand, you ask questions. And the more you ask questions, the better it will be clarified for you, and you will be better positioned to make an informed decision. And that's the whole thing. At the end of the day, the doctor is not supposed to make the decision for you. You are supposed to make the decision for yourself. All things being equal. We do have exceptions. But all things being equal, you are supposed to have an informed decision. Make an informed decision. So ask questions and ensure that those questions are answered.
I think some people forget that responsibilities also involves payment of bills. So we have a lot of people coming to hospitals demanding services. Dr. Boakye, what has been your experience with that responsibility in particular?
Fortunately for us, it's not in the patient charter.
It is. It's in the patient charter.
Actually, there is not too long ago. I read one of these on strange act in our law, in our statutes, that the patient has no right to be given discounts.
Oh, okay.
Or they have no right not to pay their bills. Okay. I can't quote it often, but it was so funny. Yeah, so we see these cases very often. But we are also humans as well. When we have to step in to help, we have to step in to help. And we do this all the time.
Yes.
Sometimes we involve social welfare, and they also come and then help them settle some of their bills. Sometimes we speak to friends and those who are well placed in society, who have the heart to give, and also come in to support patients. So yes, they have to pay their bills, but we know not all of them can pay.
Yes.
But there are some of them who are just, they don't want to pay because they know at the end of it, or you can't keep them there. You will surely let them go.
Because
you
need the bed.
Keep them there.
We need the bed.
You need the bed. So
bed?
what do you do?
We actually need the bed.
The hospital bed. And that's another patient should come and occupy the bed.
What's a bed, that's that?
Well, I've had this issue with some patients. They'll come, they'll tell you, oh, Dr. Minisika, and then you pay. Sometimes I've personally paid some bills for some people. You come back and, or no malt. Sometimes it's well, this is just the lighter side of it, but we all have responsibilities towards ourselves and towards everybody too. About the rights for the healthcare practitioners and in this case doctors. What's your right? What is your right, Dr. Watching?
Okay, so for the purpose of this discussion, let me situate within the hospital setting. Okay, all right. So we have rights that our employers should bestow on us. We have rights as colleagues, healthcare workers. I mean, that is on the horizontal level. And they also have rights that patients should bestow on us as healthcare workers. So let me take it one by one. Maybe I will address them one after the other. Rights that our employers have to make sure we enjoy. One of them is the right to leave. Okay. Every 6 months I have to go on some number of days off.
Yes.
You can't deny me of that. Another right is for you to make the hospital setting very conducive for me to work in. So
there's
if you
no cannula, there's no plaster,
there's no glass has finished. What else? There's no bed. In fact, when they say no bed, it is not the physical bed, but the bed goes to describe all the resources that will make us work comfortably. So it can be personnel, it can be medications, it can be beds per se, it can be doctors with skills to manage certain cases. So sometimes you may come in and we say, oh, you need bed. Not that you need bed, but we have bed. But we can't manage you adequately at our end. So you say, oh, we don't have bed. Okay, then, so these are things our employers should make sure we enjoy. And one more thing they have to make sure we enjoy is that they shouldn't bully us. Especially junior doctors, they are bullied a lot. And, well, so that is for the employer side. For our colleagues, it's respect and mutual understanding between us. We are all colleagues. We are all colleague doctors, we are all colleague nurses, we are all colleague lab technicians, and we have to respect each other. Sometimes you hear a colleague speaking to another colleague in tones that is so demeaning and so dampening. This shouldn't be entertained. And also, we also say we have to share our knowledge with our colleagues as well. Yes. Now, to the side of the patient, they think that once they come to the hospital setting, the doctor should be there to see me 24/7. They don't mind whether you are sick. They don't know you are sick.
No.
They don't.
Doctor Nyari.
Doctor Nidi.
You fall sick and, hey, Doctor Pan Awayari. Now some again say doctors they are more Nyari.
So yes. So they have to know that we are humans. So you come to my facility, I'm entitled to a 1 hour of every day I'm on duty. So I may be available, but I'll tell the nurses I'm going off 1 hour. A patient may come. Oh, doctor, no, doctor. But you can't say the doctor nurse who are broke. You've committed
a blunder.
Not a blunder. The most unpardonable crime before patients. They won't understand. they won't understand that doctors who are your doctor. That not too long ago, I think Nana Pedu passed away. Unfortunately. And then Akosua Japan, speaking to the media, said they went to Achimota Hospital.
Yes,
and they said the doctor no other. So they had to go to University of Ghana Hospital.
And that is the right thing to do.
If I'm exhausted, if I'm tired, I am tired. It's better for me to let you know that I'm not, my body has given up on me. So see another doctor or go to another facility than for me with my clouded brain, see you. I may commit so many blunders that will not inure to your benefit. So viewers,
but I'm looking at the situation where it's really an emergency. It's a do or die. So wouldn't I rather want a tired doctor than to be transferred somewhere else where I will die, where I will not even get there and I will die? Shouldn't there be an exception to this rule? No, because if all things being equal, you look at my situation and I will be dead in the next 5 minutes. The next hospital is maybe 20 minutes drive away. I will die. So wouldn't really my chances be better with a tired doctor than they transfer me and I will die anyway?
Well, a tired doctor would attend to you and
that's a 50-50 chance.
And you'll be sued.
No, that's what we'll come to that caveat. We'll come to that caveat.
So in this case, there are 3 things that we are entitled to do. First of all, though you are tired, you have to see the patient.
Yes.
So you just do your primary observation. What are the red flags? What are things that I can immediately attend? What are things that I have to attend to? So first of all, do primary observation, and then if there are things you have to stabilize, you stabilize. And then you let them continue. Yeah. So see, stabilize, and refer. Even though you are, then you go back to rest.
you can rest.
So it's level 1 more part of the rights of a doctor.
Yeah. So the other right is it's so funny. Patients should know that we are humans as well. Okay. And we have our emotions. So the doctor has to be respected as a human being. Some people come, of course, you know how our system is so much disheartening and so much confusing. They will spend so much time in the queue. By the time they get to the doctor's office, not they will rain insult on everybody at the hospital. And if you do this, it is enough grounds for the doctor to say,
I won't attend to you.
I won't attend to you. Because his psyche is already distorted. Maybe his adrenaline is at the highest peak. And he said, I can't see you. So, so this right from patients is for them to respect the doctors. And one more thing, to be so open to the doctors, let them know everything about you. What do you gain by hiding your medical records? Sometimes you get to know this at the point of death.
Yes.
I had a patient not too long ago who had very bad pneumonia, 17-year-old girl with Down syndrome. Okay. I thought the child had some hole in heart issues. I probed. The family was not forthcoming with this information. And then a relative, who is a big man in government, came, I think, a day before the child died. And he said, oh, Osano, you can't find a operation, but and I said, oh, this should have been made known to me. I wouldn't have even kept this child here for more than a week. I would have referred straight away to Kolebu. So when he brought that information, the following day I was off and the man called me, just as I explained to them, the child has passed away. Okay, so this is something that let us know that I have this condition, I have this condition. It helps us to know which drugs to give, which resources to bring to bear. If you have to refer, where do we refer to? Because not all referral centers can receive some cases. Yes. So be open to us and please respect us.
Oh, I think you don't have a problem with that at all, do you?
Well, hopefully, after the education and the enlightenment you are receiving.
Most patients think you guys are thank God.
We are gods.
Yes. Well, we are hoping that the consulting room would help clear some of these misunderstandings that we have as patients, and also improve our relationship between doctors and patients. We'll go for our next break, and when we come back, if you think your right has been abused, we'll talk about what to do about it and where to go from where you are. So we'll see you after our break.
Nkrumah proclaimed freedom at independence. But are we really free? Fuel prices keep soaring. Unemployment, hunger and deprivation abounds. Strange diseases plague us. But don't lose hope yet, because God has a plan for you. The Personal Ministries Department, in collaboration with the Women and the Young Ladies Ministries of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, bring to you Christ Our Hope, from the 9th to the 16th of October 2021. The time is 5 a.m. and 7 p.m. each day. Join us live on Hope Channel Ghana and in all Seventh-day Adventist churches in Ghana as we present to you Christ Our Hope. Speakers, Mrs. Christiana Ejenim Boateng and Mrs. Margaret A. Auntie. Remember, the date is the 9th to the 16th of October 2021 and the time is 5 a.m. and 7 p.m. each night. Invite a friend and God bless you.
Hello and welcome to Calvary Hour. Calvary Hour is a magazine show that brings your way the beliefs of Adventists and what the Bible says. What do you know about the Bible? Yes, and then you get to meet some personalities who share in their experience. And what makes Calvary Hour an amazing show is that you also get to bring in your favorite songs and we'll play it out for you. Calvary Hour comes your way every Tuesday at 4 p.m. You don't want to miss it.
Welcome back from the break, and this is the consulting room. So as a patient, if I've given consent for a procedure to be done, or if I've given consent for something to be done to me, do I have the right to say I no longer agree? What are the ways to go about it? So what can I do as a patient?
Okay, so generally you are supposed to be informed, and when you are informed, you can make a decision, and then the decision is applied. However, before the decision is applied, you can change your mind. And when you change your mind, that decision must be respected. Of course, the doctor can try and convince you otherwise. If he or she is successful, that is it. If he or she isn't, then you're in trouble. So we had this case just this July. Well, I will not mention the name of the hospital, one of these big hospitals. And the lady was pregnant. The lady said she wanted CS. And the doctor said, no, she has to deliver the normal way. So she did deliver normal way. She died, and the child had this serious issues with her hand. The hospital has been sued, and the judgment came in July. 1 million Ghana cedis, just gone like that. So you need to learn to respect the patient's decision. And the minute something happens to the patient, you are exonerated as a doctor because you gave sound advice. The patient went contrary, and that's why the patient is dead. And that is a whole defense for you. But if you don't do that and you force your will on the patient and something happens, that is negligence. You didn't take into consideration the patient's decision or otherwise. And that's...
Dr. Boateng.
All right, so the revised Hippocratic Oath, okay, which was revised in 2017. In fact, it's been in existence for over 2,000 years. But we adopted it in 1948. and then just in 2017 it was revised. There's a clause, there's a phrase in it which I like so much. It says, "I will respect the autonomy and dignity of my patients." So first of all, yes, the patients have stepped into your facility, but they have not lost any right that they have. Okay, so if they say, "I don't want this," what do you have to do? You just document. Patient refuses treatment. If they say, "I want this," sometimes it becomes so frustrating. They will change their mind, they will come back, they will change their mind, they will come back. But what do you have to do? Just document. If they make a request, you just document. Patient requests those services. Patient refuses these services. Sometimes you may think that you know what is best for them. You may try to speak to them, convince them and all that. Still, it's up to them for them to say, "I'll consent to this," or "I'll refuse this." I had a patient who had a very bad diabetes complication. He came and said, "Onisi can tobacco fee." He came very early in the morning. I was doing a 12-hour shift, okay. So I told him, "Okay, you let me," but I told him I would admit you straight away. He said, "Onisi tobacco fee." I said, "Okay, go and write a letter and bring it." He went and wrote a letter. I was making it so hard for him to rescind his decision, but he said, "No tobacco fee." In that, I had to document patient refuses admission account of financial constraints. I have to cover my back because the patient records are also legal records.
Yes.
When issues crop up, what is your defense? So they have the right to refuse treatment. In this case of my patient, he came back the next day. So he came back the next day and he was admitted for 7 good days before he was discharged. Okay, so yeah, sometimes we know what is best for them, but it is their body, unless they can't take decisions and own them. That is those less than 18 years, those who are unconscious and those who are mentally challenged. Other than this, we have to respect the autonomy. If they refuse a procedure, they have refused it. We don't force them. If you force that something goes wrong, you'll be sued.
But that doesn't mean you can advise. You can advise. So with your knowledge, you can let the person know the pros and cons of a decision the person is making. But at the end of the day, you leave it to the person, the patient, to make that decision.
So I've come to the hospital. Something has been done against me. My right has been abused. I am feeling so annoyed. What do I do about it? The doctor has done something to me that he shouldn't have done. The nurse was not taking good care of me. The lab guy was not giving me my results when I was supposed to get them. And maybe I have a complication of it.
It's coming that bad.
Yes. So what
do I do? Bad. Actually, one of the rights of patients is to know the processes administratively. Should there be an issue, the processes the hospital usually goes through, should there be an issue. So should the patient know that, all things being equal, the patient knows who to report to, and then they take it up. If all things being equal, your first stop, I always say, you use the amicable settlement. You try to amicably settle the matter. If it doesn't work, of course.
How is this amicable settlement?
So the amicable settlement is in 2 folds. You can get your lawyer involved, or you can do it yourself. You officially inform the hospital this is the case, and this is what you want. The hospital, all things being equal, those who are fast and smart will come back and counter. Those who are not smart will leave it hanging. They will not mind you. So if they don't mind you, then you go up the medical and dental council. If it doesn't work, of course, we are going to court. So a lawyer might come in, you might write a demand to the hospital, but 90% of the time, we amicably settle the matter. This is what was done. My patient isn't happy. This is what we want as compensation. So the hospital will say, they'll come back with a counter offer. And then we go back and we are all happy. The hospital is happy, we are happy, we all go home. If it doesn't work, we go to the medical and dental council. They try to resolve the matter. If it doesn't work, then we go litigation. So the amicably settling the matter is the hospital and the council.
Even the Bible says it.
That we shall that's between brethren. But you know, in Ghana, I think our doctors and nurses are taking it a little bit easy, because most most people are not ready to take the hospitals on. Most people are not interested. Most of them are, some of them are mourning, some of them. So, but if we should really start taking the medical institutions up, we are in trouble.
Well, both patients and healthcare providers would be in trouble.
Yes.
Doctors will start practicing defensive medicine.
You see, the whole idea is, okay, so let me put it like this. You have a work to do. And your work is simple. You can't save a life. As Christians, we know that. Only God saves. So God will use you to try and save. And you are supposed to make things better. When you put yourself in a position where you are trying to give medical care and you don't make it better, but you worsen the case, then you are not doing your work as a medical doctor.
Yes.
Then it means I should be able to take you on. So if I come to the hospital and I have a headache, and by the time I leave there, my hand has been cut off my, you see, and we have one case at the moment like that. They said they made a mistake, and I don't know what that means. That they didn't diagnose the person well, and that yes, they diagnosed the person well, and that they thought it was something else, and they cut off one of the legs, and they realized it wasn't. I'm like, what?
The other leg.
No, like how does that happen? Now the person wants us to sue. The hospital is ready to compare, but the amount they are talking about, obviously one leg. That amount is too low for one leg. So,
so how much does one leg cost?
Just a because you're going to do the artificial legs and all that. You have to look at all these considerations. So what we are saying is that we respect our doctors, we love them, we think the work we are doing is wonderful. And looking at our system, you guys are doing a human's job. But try as much as possible to try and make things better. Like the driver on the road, you look out, because anything could happen, and you're expecting so much from you, because just one mistake and we are gone. Like, we are not, it's not like you go and come back home. You are permanently gone.
Death is a one-time thing.
Charlie, it's a big deal.
Well, the conversation is getting interesting, and if you'd like to join us, you can call us on 055-968-0066, or you can send a text message to the same number, and we would address your concerns. Dr. Awachi, you were just about to say something.
Yeah, so about what she said with what Right Honorable Michael Quay told us during our induction. He said he witnessed a scene in United Kingdom that has stayed with him for a very long time. He said his wife is a midwife. So one time he went visiting his wife in her facility in the UK. And then he saw senior doctors shouting and insulting and bullying junior doctors and all that. So he became quite surprised. So he said he drew the doctor's attention that, why are you doing this to your junior and all that? And he said the doctor responded, you lawyers, when you make a mistake, there are avenues for you to appeal and review decisions. But when a doctor makes a mistake, what happens? Death.
Yeah. Disability.
Yeah. Everything has come to a halt. Okay. So it's something that we have to be mindful of, that our actions can lead some people to their grave. And that is why when we make errors, the patient also have the right to seek redress and to seek compensation. And one more thing that I want to add is that the Medical and Dental Council that we see, the discipline committee, they have the powers of a high court.
Yes.
And their decisions can only be appealed at an appeals court. Yeah. So it is not like it's just there to be on the side of it. If you know the members on the panel, you wouldn't wish that your case even goes, or you prefer your case goes to the court than go to the Medical and Dental Council, because they can just withdraw your license and you can't practice anymore. But the court will never withdraw your doctor's license. They will just ask you to pay compensation and all that.
No, they can.
They can. But MDC can just withdraw a doctor's license, and that is it.
You see, sometimes justice must not just be done, it must be seen to be done. You understand? So it's not just that I know the council will do something. Indeed, do they do something? Okay. So you look at the records, and I know I'm on TV. You look at the records, and you've gone there once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. But then when you go to court, you get the results. The question is, are they looking out for each other? Because today it's someone else, tomorrow it might be you on the committee that will be brought to the committee. So is it that I'm looking out for you, look out for me? You see, sometimes when I want to be cautious with my words, because you hear too many cases in the media, and the council is quiet. You don't see the whip. Maybe they do whip indeed, but it has to be seen. It has to be read that indeed this happened, and this was what was done to the person. You go to a hospital, some of the nurses are so rude. Not just very, very rude. And you are like, it's your work. Either you do it or you go home. If you're not interested in it, and when you go in like that, you are sick. Mm-hmm. You are in another phase altogether. So you are expecting some sympathy, some kind of care, some understanding. That's when the person wants to show you that. Exactly. It's as if you've been seeing people die, and so people really hurting doesn't move you that much anymore. But it
has an advantage though.
Really?
Yes, it does.
Because if a doctor should see someone dying and should get emotional, it clouds the judgment.
We don't want you to be emotional. We want you to be empathetic. You see, we're not saying be cry, weep. No. I don't want my God to. Yes, but I'm thinking that 7 years, the problem is because when people go like doctor 7 years, so yes, I even wish if it could even be more because it's our lives. So should you break down? Should something happen to you for you to break down, and you are not in the best emotional and psychological state to look after your patient? I will die. Just because your husband or your wife broke your heart, I can die on the operating. I think your work is so. Sometimes I look at your work and I'm like, it's so great, and it's like the pastoral work. It's a calling. So if you're not called, don't come and kill us. Go and do something else.
Well, we are trying to understand the rights and responsibilities from both angles. But in all of this, it's just to help us so that we make informed decisions concerning our health. We try to help each other so that we will help ourselves as human beings. It will translate to our families, our churches, society in general. Then it helps Mother Ghana at large. So, Dr. Bache, is there anything more you'd want to add?
All right, so I mentioned the Hippocratic Oath in person when I was addressing an issue early on. There's one clause which was also added.
Yes.
And which patients don't know. And it says, I will first of all take care of my health in order to be well positioned to take care of others. Okay. So if you come and I say that means I am a, or if this, sometimes this, so you mentioned, sometimes they see doctors, they can see that when you are seeing you do, you are tired, you've worked over 24 hours, you've worked over 12 hours, sometimes 36 hours non-stop.
I'm coming here from a 24-hour duty.
And sometimes you just go off, but patients don't understand. But it is, in fact, if you look at the Hippocratic Oath, it's more about responsibilities. This is the only one that gives the doctor some
backing,
some space to breathe a little. Yeah. That I have to attend to my health first. So if you come and I say, just sit calmly and wait for me. If I tell you, wait for me for 10 minutes, for 30 minutes, sometimes for 1 hour, maybe our batch, you may wish to have been seen on the spot. But the doctor says he needs some time for himself, some time for herself. The nurse says she needs some time for herself. Of course, if it's an emergency, you know what to do.
Yes.
But you are talking about cold cases, cases that you can safely leave for about 2 to 3 hours. Okay, so we have to first of all attend to our needs. The need may be domestic. Maybe if maybe your child is sick. Now,
Yes.
that pressure alone. Your child is sick. You've sent your baby to the hospital. It happened to me before. Okay, I sent my boy to my hospital, and I was called that the OPD is getting, so I should go and then attend to patients. So you see the issue. So this health well-being of doctors can be medical, it can be social, it can be emotional, it can be financial, and all these things. Okay. And one thing is your cost strike. I want to as a crack because it's kind of how do you work? I think it's in the news that rotation nurses will be embarking on strike soon.
Yes.
They've worked for more than since January.
Yeah, they've not been paid.
They've not been paid. It will come, and then we know Ghanaians.
Yeah.
They will do their job. They'll give it to them. Do you get it?
Society is supposed to balance the everything.
I think generally we talk for you guys when you go on strike.
Oh,
No.
Just that we are thinking so there should be a backup plan because because look at this from this angle. At the end of the day, your money can be paid. So your money can always be paid even with interest. But when someone dies,
but is it? It's
okay,
not.
so let's say so now look at this from this angle. Look at it from this angle. You go on strike for 3 days. After 3 days, you are paid your money. 3 days, 9 people die. You can't bring back their lives. But your money there, we can always give you your money.
But
so
it's
all
not
we are
given.
saying,
see,
so we'll fight for you, but we are saying, have a backup plan for us. So that when you go on, you know, there'll be backup plan so that we will not die. And then your money will come. We'll fight for the money for you.
Private hospitals.
You know, we can't. Most people can't afford that.
Well, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You have a right, but you have a responsibility.
Yeah.
You have to balance the two. Don't go demanding for things you are not willing to give out. Don't go demanding for respect when you are being rude to everybody. Yes, the doctor is supposed to be level-headed and treat you as a human being. But I think you should also understand that the doctor is a human being and can also have a negative emotional reaction to some of these things. And if a doctor is not treating you well, if a healthcare personnel is not treating you well, I think you have every right to tell them and make sure that you've told them in a very clear manner, so that if there's a need that you want to seek for help from either the hospital administration, from the medical and dental council, or from the courts, you have a clear conscience to do that. I hope that these discussions that we are doing, as I always say, would help all of us in our medical decisions. I would want to have our last words as we round up the show.
Okay, so we are told that knowledge makes a man unfit to be a slave. That's Frederick Douglass. When you go to the clinic or the hospital, ask questions. Don't be a I don't know. Ask questions. You don't understand something, ask questions. You need more clarification, ask questions. They are giving you some drugs, you do not know the side effects of, ask questions. The doctor might not be able to attend to you, but the doctor will recommend someone to attend to you, so ask questions. Secondly, and most importantly, when your rights are infringed upon, every hospital has an administrative procedure. Know what they are. So that when a nurse or a doctor is behaving in a way that is uncalled for, you report for the person to be brought to book. Because at the end of the day, when you are dead, you can't fight for your rights. When you are alive, when you can't fight for your rights. And then to conclude, respect is reciprocal. You can't take when you can't give. What you don't give, you shouldn't be prepared to take. So as much as you have some rights, you do have responsibilities. Respect the hospital personnel and try and live amicably with your other patients.
Dr. Wache.
All right, so when you go to the hospital, own your decisions and don't go with that God mentality that you see the doctors as 10 gods.
Please,
You make mistakes.
good evening. You are doing a great
So
job.
go with a clear conscience,
May
a
God
clear
bless you
mind.
all. Please, may I know if in case of
For you to be
maybe I come to
respected,
hospital
demand
with
your
a
right
headache,
to be respected and
and the
all
doctor
that.
tells me
Thank
to
you.
go and lie down for inspection, and he started
We have a caller.
raising my
Hello.
legs and using fingers around my
Hello.
abdomen. Who should I resist?
Please, can you repeat your question?
Because one of my sister
Please, can you
experienced
repeat
this.
your
That's why I'm
question?
asking this question.
Please, can you repeat your question?
Hello.
Kindly repeat your question.
I am saying that in case I come to the hospital with a headache.
We are listening.
Okay. With a headache, and the doctor told me I should go and lie down. And when he comes to visit me, he raises my legs, his fingers around my abdomen. So should I resist?
Dr.
I don't
Wache.
know. Please, you get me.
Yes. Thank you very much for your question. Dr. Wache would address it for you. Thank you for calling.
Okay, so
Didn't get any.
so he wants to say, or he was asking, I come in with headache, but the doctor, instead of asking me questions or examining my head, is examining my stomach or my legs. Should I cooperate in such cases? The answer is yes, because you may think that it's just headache, but headache is not a disease.
Yes,
it is just a symptom or a sign.
Ask questions. Look, ask questions. I went to this clinic and they said they were testing my heart. And the lady came in, gave me this white cloth for me to, and I was lying on the bed quietly. The doctor came in, he was taking the thing off, the cloth off my body. I'm like, why? Because there's a reason why the person pulled. It was like, no, he has to pull the, and I spoke to the lady. The lady said you can do it without bringing the whole thing down. He said, oh, okay. So then he did like, and it was started, I'm sorry, now you are touching me. Now I feel sexually harassed. And he was looking at me, I was like, so how do I do? I'm like, how you are doing? Your hand is all over me. Is it in my heart you want? Don't you know where my heart is? And then then from then, it was perfect. He went there, did it. I should look at it. Now we became best friends. And now I should look at there was a screen there. I should look, my heart is okay, it's not my heart. So
Okay,
I'm like, so you could be this nice from the beginning. I'm not saying all those things are like that. I'm saying ask questions. So if the person is doing something you are not comfortable with, ask questions. So maybe you think it's your head, but maybe it's somewhere in your legs. So you ask questions, doctor, I said it's my head. Why are you going here? Because the Manasseh expose shows us that there are some doctors who are really taking advantage of people. They're having sex with their patients in the consulting rooms. So you'll be there before you realize they've entered. You have no idea what happened. You understand? Well, so please ask questions. So if you're not comfortable with anything, ask questions or ask for a second opinion. If that doctor, you're not comfortable with that doctor, please go to another hospital and ask for a second opinion.
The conversation is getting interesting, but unfortunately, we've run out of time. Ask questions, do what you have to do, and talk to your doctor, talk to your nurse, and expect the best. So we've come to the end of today's show, the rights and responsibilities of a patient. We would be here same time next week with another episode of the consulting room. I do hope you make time to join us next week Monday at 8 p.m. and do have a good week as well. Thank you.
Christ is King. Hallelujah. Christ is King.